Hi everyone, welcome to WW Designs. My name is Nikki and today we need to get ready for Junk Journal July 24. This is the journal I used last year. It was a grungy piece of fabric that I stamped on and stenciled on and made it look even more grungy, added a little bit of trim and created an accordion style. Loved using this, so have decided I'm going to do something similar for 2024, except I'm going to use my absolute favourite junk because it is Junk Journal July, so I feel I need to use something junky. And lo and behold, if you've been following my channel for a while, you might be able to guess what I'm going to use. Yes, no surprise here. I'm going to do mine with magazines. So the first thing I did, I picked this cute little piece from a Daphne's Diary. That is the basis of my cover. And I just glued it down onto a piece of, and I need to add a bit more glue there. It's just lifting. Onto a piece of packaging from some muesli bars, and I backed it as well. I felt this was just a little bit too flimsy to be the main cover, so I wanted to give it some strength. Now it feels fabulous. This will be my back cover, so that will end up on the outside, and I've done exactly the same thing, glued it down onto a piece of packaging and then just added a bit of a lining because it was this pretty ugly grey colour underneath, so didn't really like that. And of course, these are my pages. Now, this is approximately 13 by 13 centimetres. My pages, I started off measuring them out 12 by 12, and I'd done about 4 and I went, yeah, nah, let's not be so pedantic. So they are approximately 12 by 12. Some a bit bigger, some probably a bit smaller, don't care. These are not very thick. So I don't doubt for a minute that maybe a lot of the things that I do on these pages will be glued on top, and this will just be my substrate. And the things I looked at, you know, a lot of junk journalists, we love magazines, right? We love cutting out the pretty pictures, but you end up with lots of pages that are quite boring. And if anything, these are the ones that are going to end up going into the recycling bin. So that's where I've sort of grabbed my pages from. I have ones with text on it. If I don't want to see any of the text, I can cover it up. Or I might want a little bit in the background. That's fine. And when I came to picking printed images, I basically just looked at what the border might look like. So in this case, you know, I may add stuff in here and you might still see some of this shiny goldy stuff. And if you do, fabulous. If I cover it all up, guess what? No big deal. So I've gone through a variety of magazines. So I've got all sorts of different texts. Some of these are quite wild. But again, I was just thinking about the border. If it shows it could be of interest, no problem. Where I was lucky enough to find a basic blank page, because most magazines, they're pretty full of ads or whatever they're trying to tell you or sell you or teach you, that you don't get a lot of blank. But occasionally you score. So that's what we've done. So all we're going to do, this is a very, very simple process. Anybody can make one of these, is you need 16 of these. So each will be filled on both sides. So you only need half the number to get 31 pages to work with. And we're going to get some glue. This is my favourite tiger glue. It glues everything. I was just going to use glue stick, but sometimes when the pages get a bit heavy because you've layered all sorts of good stuff on it, it can become a little bit dicey. So I thought, right, how about we use something a little bit stronger? So I have decanted tiger glue into a brand new decanter that has the metal bit so that I can get it nice and thin. I've been working in one without one of these and it can come out a bit thick. So I'm prepared. And all I'm going to do to start this process is put my pages aside, and I'm going to get the glue and just run a thin stripe all the way down, relatively close to the edge. Tiny bit more there than I would actually like. Let's get rid of that. And then we're going to take a page, make sure it's the right way up, and we're going to glue them all down. And we're going to continue this process until we have joined them all together. So to save you being bored stupid and watching me do all that gluing, I'll be back when I have glued all mine together, and then we'll continue on. Okay, so my snake of paper is complete, and I let it sit for about half an hour just so that the glue is completely dry. Tiger Grip does dry very quickly, but I just wanted to make sure it was well and truly done. Now, the one thing I want to be careful of, and that's why I've already folded this down, I want to make sure that as I create my concertina effect, the first page has to sit the correct way. In that, I'm going to be placing a fold here. Okay. And I will be attaching it to the cover as such. So I want to make sure that my concertina then follows that flow, okay? If you do it the other way around, it will fold out that way. It doesn't matter if you are using papers that don't have any print or anything on it, then it makes no difference. But of course, I want mine to be the correct way up. Perfectionist tendencies require such things sometimes. So that's how I want it done. And that way, when you fold this over, everything is down underneath it. So we're going to place that fold in there. Now, where's my, just get my little bone folder here, and we're just going to fold that down so that that's nice and firm. And then it also just reminds me of which direction I'm trying to aim for. I folded the first one over, and I've done it right on the seam, and I have used my bone folder on that one. Then the next one, I realised what I need to try and do is a little bit of, it's not so much measuring, but if you do want it nice and neat, you want to try and fold to match this fold here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to gently bend it over, and we're going to follow that fold. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that will give you a good idea of the size so that you keep them all relatively square. Now, the next one. Again, we're going to take our fold, and that's why I wanted the glue to dry for a little while before we fiddled too much with this. Fold that one over. And we just follow the same process along until we are finished. Okay, so we have a little minor problem. I had to stop the video because the postman dropped off a parcel, and now for the second time this month, I thought I hit record, but did not. So my journal is complete, but I will give you a very quick rundown of how I got it to this stage. The first thing I did, I folded a little fold here. I've glued it down underneath and put it on the inside cover. Flip it over to the back. Because I had 16 pages, which gives me 32 workable spots, I only really need 31, one for each day of the month of July. I've glued this entire back page on. I don't need the underside to work on, and this will help make the journal a little bit more stable, okay? Then, of course, I had to add our prompt list. Now, if you have never heard of Meg Journals and Meg from Meg Journals and Junk Journal July, you need to head to her YouTube channel and her Instagram handle and join along. She has all the information, including this first post that went up that includes all the wonderful prompts she has given to us to work with. Meg will be doing day 1 and day 31, but on each of the other days, there will be a YouTuber putting up a video using the appropriate prompt for their day. Now, in some very wonderful news, I was invited to participate in this. And on day 28, my prompt is buttons, and I will be doing a video to show you what I have planned for that day. And every other day, there will be fabulous videos to watch. There's the royalty of junk journalists involved in this. It's going to be absolutely fantastic, and you don't want to miss a thing. So follow Meg Journals and all will be well. And then, of course, I decided my cover was just a little bit bland, so I had to add a few things to it. First of all, I felt my lovely cocktail here needed a real piece of lime. The word recipes and poster were printed on this yellow bit, and I didn't want to see those because this is not for recipes or posters. So I cut 2 flowers out of a magazine cover, did a tiny little bit of inking around the edges just to make them pop a little bit more, and now I have conveniently hidden that. Found the word vintage on this same cover, cut that bit out. I also found this, I love this, creative inspiration. I thought that was really appropriate for Junk Journal July because it's all about stepping outside of the box a little bit and maybe trying something different. I know I certainly do. No doubt there'll be some vintage elements in here, but my style is not all vintage. I love bright colours and all that sort of stuff as well. So mine ends up quite eclectic. I cut another bit from the inside of the cover, and then I just grabbed my stamps out for the JJJ24. But this pink and white piece alone sort of got lost on this cover. So if I hold this up, you'll see there's a little dark scrap underneath. That was actually from another magazine. It was an ad for blinds. And I don't want an ad for blinds, but this little dark piece with those lines on it made a great little backing bit just so that this sticks out quite nicely. So that's why I honestly don't throw my magazines out until there is nothing left, because sometimes you just need a great little dark piece to create a bit of a layer and some definition. And the final thing I added, I have this vintage stationery stamp set. So I stamped this gorgeous old-fashioned looking fountain pen onto a little bit of plain white, and I have glued that down. So I'm so sorry you didn't see me gluing, but really, literally, that is all I did was glue, so you haven't missed anything too exciting. My journal is ready to go. And honestly, if you don't have magazines, you can use junk mail. You can use book pages. Even if it's kids' books you have lying around, you've got a couple spare, start chopping them up. Envelopes that your mail comes in, make an envelope journal. I find that Junk Journal July is something I focus on where I don't go and spend any money to complete the project. Yes, of course, I may use paint and things, but they're all in my supplies. I refuse to go and buy expensive, fancy kits and print them out and all that sort of silly thing. Junk Journal July is about using what you've had or have, being creative and just having some fun. So it doesn't get much easier than this. My journal is ready to go, and I can't wait until the 1st of July. So I hope you enjoyed this slightly altered video than the one I was planning on giving you. And I hope I've inspired you to make a simple journal. If you have no idea how to get started, it doesn't get much easier than this. So looking forward to seeing what everybody does starting on the 1st of July. Can't wait for another year of Junk Journal July. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions about how I did finally finish this, in case I haven't described it clearly enough to you, just pop them down in the box below. And if you are not already a subscriber, I would love it if you joined in for all sorts of paper crafting goodness. And until next time, stay safe and stay healthy. Bye for now.